Hey guys, SuperHolo1 here. Welcome back to another video, and today I'm laying on my basement floor, which may or may not be a good idea, but I have my heavily modified Broadway Limited Imports PRR M1a. Now, first question is, how modified is modified? The answer is very. This is really only a BLI model in that the shell and the frame is Broadway Limited Imports, and the headlight. The decoder is new. I did a bunch of painting in the cab. The marker lights are now brass, and there's a lot of new lighting, and there's also no smoke unit anymore. So first things first, I am in no way against BLI or their products. They make some fantastic models, and I've just had some pretty bad luck with it. I have a Reading T1 that was made by Broadway Limited Imports, and I've had that decoder blow up on me now 3 times. But like I said, I've just had some bad luck. 99% of the time, your engines will work just fine, and if you have any issues, the customer service is great, and you can usually figure it out. I've just had some bad luck. This engine, the decoder blew up on me. They're both Paragon 3 models, the Reading T1 and this. This one had the decoder blow up when I was backing it up for a running shot in the last HO video I did, which is just me running some PRR and Reading equipment on the club layout at my college. I did, like, the drivers did about a quarter rotation and everything shorted. So I unplugged the board from the tender and I had it standing still to do a run-by shot with my E7s, which is why it doesn't run in that video. But as a replacement, I decided I was going to use TCS WOWSound, mainly their Steam 101 decoder, I believe, or their WOW 101 decoder. And it runs absolutely fantastic. It sounds really good, but unfortunately, you won't be able to actually hear it when it's running here in my basement. So now I'm going to get into some opinions on stuff, which you may agree, you may disagree. That's fine, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. TCS WOWSound is a really good decoder if you have DCC. I have DCC at the club layout, which is why I'm using it, and I mainly run these trains on the club layout. I just have this little loop set up in my basement because I need to run in the new motor, because the motor also blew up in this engine, the original BLI motor, so I ordered a new motor from BLI, and it's running just fine now. It's just, it needs to be broken in, and BLI engines take an absolute eternity to run in. But anyway, the only downside, really, to TCS is that it's extremely limited in DC. If you want a DC decoder with good sound, and you don't have a DCC system, don't get TCS, because TCS, while it does operate in DC mode, it operates very much like a DC engine. It has no, like, cruise control, or at least that's what we call it in O-scale. It doesn't have any kind of, like, speed regulation so that it runs smoothly, and it has no sound. It just kind of goes, and all the lights go at whatever brightnesses the decoder is set at when you program it in DCC. So if you have a DC locomotive and you're trying to upgrade, like, all the lighting and whatnot, like I did on this, and you don't have a DCC system, you're not actually able to change any of the lighting configurations. So you won't have Rule 17 lighting. You won't be able to change any of the lighting from bright, and the bright on this is very bright. So I have 1K resistors going to these 402 SMD LEDs, and they are ridiculously bright when it's at the default value, which is what the doghouse is, because I wasn't planning on using that wire, so I didn't program it, but I programmed all the other ones before I came here. Before I came home, and the doghouse light is insanely bright. But if you have a DCC system and you're looking for a really good decoder that has fantastic sound and excellent motor control, TCS is definitely the way to go. Now, you can also use WOWSound. WOWSound is great because it has sound in DC mode, which is really nice, and it has some assisted motor controls. But I use TCS for Steam because that's what it sounds best. Like, TCS is known for their Steam sounds. WOWSound is known for their diesel sounds. So if you're upgrading a diesel to DCC, I would go WOWSound. If you're upgrading Steam from its current decoder or from NCE or whatever, I would go TCS. but that's just me. You guys are free to do whatever you want. I've seen some pretty insanely good sounding steam locomotives that use WOWSound. Now, if you're upgrading a steam turbine like the PRR 6200, the S2, good luck. You're probably going to need to use WOWSound, and I don't know how you would program the sounds on that thing because it doesn't chuff. So if you do that, I wish you luck and let me know how it goes. So on to my modifications. First things first, up here I painted the insides of the wheels on the pilot truck. I also did the same on the trailing truck, and I painted the ends of the axles on the drivers. I might go in and touch up the pilot truck a little bit because the rims look a little thick, but that's just how it came out at the first time. They are a little thinner on prototype pictures and all that, but I can worry about that later. I also hand painted a bunch of the valves in the cab, so there's a little bit more red now, I guess, because it's not really a splash of colors if it's just one. But the main thing I did was I put lights in all the marker lights on the locomotive and the tender, and I put a light in the doghouse, and I managed to fit a reverse light in this thing somehow. Now, the reason I say somehow is because right there, that little speck in the middle of the tender, that's the reverse light. It is super small, and I had to be really careful with it because not only could I not find a brass version of it, but also BLI doesn't recognize it as a part for this engine. It's not labeled on the exploded diagram, so like I called them when I was placing my parts order and they didn't have one. So I really needed to get it right the first try, and I did okay. I didn't butcher it, thank goodness, but you can see sticking out here are the LEDs. I don't have the brass markers for the tender yet. I'm waiting until I go back to college and I have a pin vise, and I can actually drill them out to the correct size, because the smallest bit I have at home is a 1/16 inch bit, which is too big. I should really be using like a number 55 or whatever. But these are the LEDs. They are, I think they're 0.0402 or 0.402 or something like that, SMD LEDs. So they're really small. Like they're crazy small, and I bought mine pre-wired because I wasn't going to play that game. If I was going to wire them, I'd probably just use magnet wire because their magnet wire is really small. But the wires that it came with are small enough for me, and I can just paint them Brunswick green, and it hides it pretty well. But they're small, and they're bright, and they work really well. Now, along with getting brass markers for the tender, I was debating getting a slated pilot for the front. Right now it just has the suicide steps, which was the standard on the M1s. Like if you look up pictures of the M1as, most of them have the suicide steps on the front, but a couple of them have the slated pilots, and I don't know why. If you know why some of the PRR M1as had, or M1s and M1as had this slated pilot, like the K4s, and some of them didn't. In fact, most of them didn't. Let me know, because I thought it might have something to do with passenger service versus freight service, because they were multi-use engines, but I also figured maybe the class light configuration would coincide with whether or not the engine had a slated pilot or not, but it doesn't. Some of the M1As don't have these top marker lights that are on the side of the smoke box. They just have the ones on the pilot beam, I think is what it's called. And again, I don't know why. I can't figure it out. So if you know why some had the slated pilot and some didn't, and some had the marker lights on the smoke box and others didn't, let me know in the comments, please. That would be greatly appreciated. Alright, so now I get to demonstrate the absolutely atrocious lighting that we have in the basement down here. At least until it gets finished, and then hopefully that'll get fixed. But right now the only light I have, if you can kind of tell by the shadows, is above the door that you can kind of see in the background. So it's not great, but I'm going to be showing off the lights on the engine anyway, so it's not a huge deal. I can't run this engine very slowly because I'm using an old Bachmann transformer, because I wasn't really in the mood to go digging through a bunch of boxes and get out the big one that I usually use that has much better control. Plus, it's just a tiny little oval, and I was just planning on running it in, and then I was like, you know what, let's make a video. But, yeah. So, one little note, though, before I start running the thing is, as far as I know, my M1A is the only HO M1A that has lighted glass lights, which is pretty cool in my opinion. If I'm wrong about that, let me know in the description, and I would be very happy to see that I'm not the only person that's done this, and I will probably be marveling at their handiwork. But yeah, let's get running. So there you have it. That is my modified BLI Pennsylvania Railroad M1a with a ton of lights and TCS WOWSound. I am going to throw a video in at the end after this, showing you guys what it sounds like, or letting you guys listen to what it sounds like. I have changed the whistle since I took that video back up at the club. It is now the Nathan 5 chime. In the video, it's the PRR 3 chime, but you know, I like the 5 chime a little bit better. So that's what it has. Unfortunately, you can't actually hear it. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think of this engine. It's got a lot of lights. It's based very heavily off of, again, the Lionel TMCC M1A that my dad has, as seems to be most of the things that I own. But, you know, I enjoy it. I think it's a lot of fun to run, and it looks really cool. So, hope you all enjoyed. I am CW Hollow 1, and have a good day, or maybe good night in your case. See ya.